Everybody, we are a couple of minutes late this evening. Sorry about that. We had a power outage, but we made it. We are here tonight. We're going to be talking about the CW TV shows. We are the Screen Heroes podcast. For those of you who are listening to us, thank you for listening. For those of you who are watching us live on Twitch, hello.
Hey.
Please chat with us. We'll be able to talk to you and answer questions live. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central. We live stream our podcasting. You guys want to go around and introduce yourselves?
Yeah. I'm Ryan. I'm from Buster Props and Screen Heroes.
I know, we have new shirts.
Could you
For
say
those watching, we have new shirts. We're proud. Very
nice.
exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now switch.
I think we're good.
We're good.
There's enough rubbing. I think
We're
we're
good. We're
good to
good.
go
No,
now.
there's never enough rubbing. Noah. Noah. I'm the photographer of Noah Smith Images. So go like my page. It's awesome.
The only photographer.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
He's the
Very
photographer.
The photographer.
Noah's been on before. He was on our Daredevil Season 2 recap episode.
We all remember.
Everyone remembers that one.
Everyone remembers.
I'm going to try and do better. I will do better. I've already threatened Ryan with cussing.
You can't do worse. So I mean,
can't do
really.
No. I could do
I
worse.
beg to differ.
Challenge accepted.
And then, of course, we have...
Me. I'm Ray.
And, of course, she's one of our regular hosts as well. And I'm Derek. I'm going a little quick. I'll slow down here. I'm just making up for lost time. But basically, we are going to be recapping and talking about the CW DC universe. So,
Including Supergirl now.
including Supergirl now, which I'm very excited about that.
We're going to try not to spend too much on one show. Just we can...
It's a lot of ground to cover. I mean, we
It
have
is.
4 shows to talk about.
So if we want to, really predict where they're going to go, as opposed to, like, how they're going to incorporate Supergirl,
I
as
figured we'd
opposed
touch
to
on
just
that.
recapping all 4 shows.
I mean, we could probably do a quick recap on kind of the ending episodes because, I mean, there was some
I think
major stuff that happened and then some... Where are they going with this stuff that happened?
So, from this point forward, if you have not seen the finales and the seasons that have just ended of Arrow, Flash, DC Legends of Tomorrow, or Supergirl, there's going to be spoilers. There's going to be lots of spoilers. We're going to be talking about all of that. So, yeah, I thought we could just kind of talk about how this show's ended, how we felt about these seasons. I will say, preface, that while I've seen every episode of Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl, I kind of gave up on Arrow. I have 11 episodes to watch, so that means I did not see Laurel die.
I did write a quick recap of the finale if you guys want me to read that when we get to it. Yeah, just let me know.
We could go alphabetically, so we could start with Arrow.
Yeah, let's start with Arrow.
Or we could just go chronologically, because that's how
Arrow is what kicked off everything, and usually everything ties back to Arrow somehow. So
True.
we could start with Arrow, move to Flash.
Sounds good.
Ryan.
Okay. So I only did a kind of a recap of the last episode because otherwise I would have spent way too much time talking about a bunch of stuff you guys really don't want to hear about, and even this you probably don't want to hear about. But so Damien Dark. So in the episode before the last episode, a nuke gets launched
Of course
at Star City. Felicity, being our fearless hero of the show, hacks it to go land in another Haven Rock, I think it was, another city that is nearby, and killing the entire city, which is seemingly glanced over in the entire.
They do nuke a city.
They nuke a city, and they don't really say anything about it.
She feels bad, but the whole rationale between her and Lila is it was what, tens of thousands versus a bigger area.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Okay,
they're
it's okay since Haven Rock was smaller.
It's a smaller town,
I see.
so.
Okay.
So also Damien Dark, I don't know if you guys have gotten this far, but his little idol totem thing is fueled by death. Like, that's what gives him power. So now he's very powerful because he just killed a bazillion people in Haven Rock, right? Approximately. I don't know the exact population.
So it knows that he launched the nuke?
I guess, yeah. The death.
Well, no, it's he has to be in a special chamber that kind of channels it. So
I guess it's
it the
basically
chamber of
Speed
death?
Force. You don't have to explain anything.
It can be the chamber of death.
It's Arrow Force.
Yes,
we don't
Arrow
need to
Force.
explain it.
If you want to call it the chamber of death, we can.
So yeah, Damien shows up at the beginning of the finale in Felicity's apartment and is like whooping everybody's butt, kicking everybody around, and and Thea threatens the life of his daughter, who she has in her hand and has an arrow right next to her head, and is getting ready to kill Damien's daughter, right?
That's
the only way she can get him to stop. Okay, so that was kind of ridiculous. But as they leave, because they let the daughter go, so Damien Dark leaves and nobody dies. They take Felicity's laptop, which apparently has the power to control 15,000 nukes across the world. And I'm not making that number up. That's a legitimate number.
It's the apocalypse of nukes.
Yes. And they have a hacker. Damien Dark has a hacker named Cooper Sheldon. Really, I'm not making that up.
That's awful.
He's able to launch all 15,000 nukes with Felicity's laptop.
Backtrack, because when the one launched, typically didn't they all launch, and Felicity and her dad kind of stopped it and put them in a endless rotation, so they didn't launch.
There was some kind of hacker.
So pretty much
this hack thing happened.
There's nukes flying around the planet.
We don't know how, but they put it on a cycle, so that's why they needed the laptop.
I'm feeling good about not continuing.
Yeah, well, it hasn't even gotten to the best part. This episode should have been called The Dark Arrow Rises, because the next scene is stolen straight from The Dark Knight Rises, which I know is Derek's favorite movie, so he's going to love it. So Oliver decides that he can inspire the city, right? Even though everybody knows there's this impending nuclear death happening.
Of course.
So he goes out in his street clothes and is like, inspired. Everybody's like, yay.
Wait,
it's really
as him running
himself,
for mayor, basically.
Yeah, himself.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he teaches them that a positive attitude can help them survive a nuclear apocalypse, which is obvious. Everybody should know that.
And of course, duck and cover.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think he touched on that one.
At the end of the speech,
positive and hope.
At the end of the speech, there's a nuke literally flying into the city, and Felicity and the Mr. Terrific, whatever his name is, they're on a roof, and now that they can see the nuke, instantly they can hack it because it's within proximity or something.
Bluetooth, yeah.
It's a Bluetooth connection, obviously. And so they send that into space and save the city, and everybody's happy. Blah, blah, blah. A bunch of stuff happens. They're like, we gotta attack Dark. We only got 2 hours before all these other nukes land. Somehow there's a difference between the time when Starling City is going to get bombed in the rest of the world, but whatever. So Oliver ends up fighting Damien by himself, and the fight sprawls out into the streets of the city, where he has the crowd of positivity around them, and he's fighting. No. I'm not even making this up. Noah, am I making this up?
You're not making it up.
So they're surrounded by these people watching Arrow and Damien Dark fight, and literally it's punch. Like, they just do that slugfest. That's the trope you see in all these horrible movies. They literally do that. I'm talking about League of Assassin trained. Both of these guys are League of Assassin trained people, and they end up fighting.
They're just gonna slug it out like a bad Rocky fight.
Oh, it was like a really bad, the worst Rocky film. It's worse than the worst Rocky film. So yeah, ends up Arrow kills Damien Dark.
He actually kills him.
He kills him.
How does he kill him?
He stabs him with an arrow. After the positivity of the city has negated the millions of lives lost in Haven Rock, apparently. Felicity is able to do hacker stuff.
The crowd of positivity negates the
millions of deaths.
Death, whatever.
It's basically Ghostbusters 2. You get everybody singing, and obviously the slime breaks up.
That's what they needed. They needed a giant statue.
That's what I'm thinking. But they didn't have that, so they just had a bunch of happy people.
Right.
And so, Damien Dark gets stabbed in the stomach or the chest and dies. And
sadly, this is not too off of a summary.
They all go back to the Arrow Cave, and Thea's like, well, I don't know what to do now, so I'm going to leave. And then Quentin is like, well, I'm going to leave too because I want to go do Felicity's mom. And then Diggle's like, guys, I don't know if I can do this anymore, so I'm going to go to war again. And so they all leave, except Felicity, who actually says, you thought I was going to leave you too? No, I'm never leaving. Literally says something almost exactly like that, which is basically giving a big middle finger to all the viewers and saying that she is going to be there for eternity. So...
All
right, so just to recap then. So,
I thought I just did the recap.
Actually, no,
so there's more.
Pretty much. Then afterwards, the small detail, which is kind of important.
I guess, but it's
pretty much. He then becomes mayor because he was at what 40
because he inspired the city,
right?
Yeah, but before the vote, so
All right, so you have Mayor Oliver Queen. Yep. Felicity's there. Everybody else is gone. Dark's dead.
Yeah. At the end of the season, Dark's dead. Everybody's gone except for Curtis. Is that his name? Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
He's also.
Did he ever become Mr. Terrific?
No.
Okay.
Stop saying Mr. Terrific. He's not there yet.
That's why I was asking.
I know.
So, all right. So that was Arrow.
Yes,
Arrow.
and it was everything you could have imagined and more.
Oh, yeah.
So you're telling me the best part of Arrow this season was when he showed up in the future in Legends of Tomorrow?
Absolutely. Yes, that was awesome. But yeah, that was...
Yeah.
All right.
I wish I was exaggerating or making any of that up. That is legitimately somebody was paid to write that.
Besides his voice and being very, very satirical, that's actually kind of how it happened. And I'm a little bit saddened it didn't end the way I would have wanted or even thought it was going to end.
Not even close to
not even close. So I'm hoping it kind of goes better next season because, I mean, all shows have that season where it's like,
Well,
really?
it's been 2 seasons for Arrow now, so...
Yeah, it's been pretty rough.
Well, ever since he got kicked off the cliffs, here's my theory.
Yeah.
He got kicked off the cliff and died, and all of this is like a hallucination of him dying. Everything that happens.
No.
Yes.
We're not pulling a Flash on this.
No, that's what it is.
That's not the Flash. This is that soap opera where the guy died and then he shows up in the shower at the end of one episode.
It's
The
awkward.
whole thing's been a dream.
It's getting awkward
You
here.
know what I'm talking
But
about?
I'm hoping that's
It
what
was
it's going to be.
Dallas.
I mean, maybe
Dallas,
not
yeah,
the
it was
shower.
Dallas.
I mean, if it happens, the shower. But I mean,
Well,
other
it'll be on the
than
salmon ladders.
that- Okay, there you go.
In Arrow.
That would get better ratings,
I
probably.
mean, it's been a while since we've seen those.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Arrow hasn't.
Arrow is a
been that
dumpster
great.
fire right now. Yes.
And also, he's still on the island because Amanda Waller's like, "Are you ready to go home?" He's like, "Nope, not yet." So, still on the island, still has things to do. But it's, I'm like, really?
Shouldn't this have been his last year on the island?
No,
The next year is
season 5 will
Yeah.
be. But yeah, it's somehow between now and the end of season 5, he has to be like that horrible, like patchy beard wearing dude.
Well, I mean that's not. I'm not really worried about that.
I
Part.
mean,
the
he
guy
didn't
can
look
grow
at
his
or
hair
act
out, but-
anything like that when he got picked up in the pilot. You know what I mean? That's my problem with it. It's,
Maybe the whole thing was an act.
or one
That's
more
what the
season.
big-
I'm sure there will be
It's gonna
some
be.
really great writing that
or
will.
he's still on the island.
Or one more season of something.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Something. The most popular island that no one talks about. Has everyone
Yeah,
going to.
everybody knows about it,
Everyone-
but somehow he couldn't get rescued for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he did. He's been to.
Multiple
He
Sin
was
times.
City
rescued
and-
like 3 times in
Multiple
4
times.
years. All right, so I think that's probably good with Arrow.
Yeah.
maybe we should move on.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we'll just continue. We'll go alphabetically. So we've got Flash. Now, for me, Flash is absolutely my favorite show on TV right now. I love it. I love pretty much everything that they did in this last season. For those who don't know, it winds up where Jay Garrick's not really Jay Garrick. He's actually Zoom, and turns out that John Wesley's ship is the Jay Garrick on Earth 3, which is one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. I thought that was just absolutely fantastic. And then Barry goes back in time again and actually stops his mother from being killed this time, which should theoretically create either Flashpoint Paradox or Crisis. We don't know which, or if they'll just do something different, but that's
Infinite, not
Infinite
Identity.
Crisis. Yeah, sorry.
And or a combination of both because it's the TV show.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that's
they
true.
could do something
Combine
totally
everything.
different. What did you guys think of Flash?
Well, I'm gonna let Rachel talk because
Okay.
I've talked a lot. So
I have to say I am a little upset about him going back and saving his mom, but only because I feel like we've had enough of that storyline. We can move on. There's a lot of other really good Flash storylines. And 2, it means that there's a good chance we're going to see yet another speedster as his major villain for season 3. And speedsters versus speedsters are really cool. They're fun little shots, seeing them like zigzag across the city, but I just want to see Mirror Master
And
already.
when you've done 2 of his biggest rival speedsters,
Yeah.
where are we going with this?
Right.
Well, you just have
we've seen
another
some-
version of Thawne, right?
But-
Like,
we have the actual.
I will,
one.
I will,
Yeah,
say,
there you
I will say
go.
one thing. Congrats to Tom Cavanaugh as he'll be this 3rd season and he'll be playing a different character.
He'll be
finally.
playing his 3rd Harrison Wells.
no, it's his
Nope.
4th, I think.
No, it's his 3rd.
No, because
He's
he
already played this
the-
character before.
Okay, because he's gonna play the normal Harris.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're
So
right. I guess he
another one. He keeps.
but in an alternate reality.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a 4th character.
No, it's not.
No, it's mainly. It's yeah.
It's the same character in a different reality.
No.
How not? I don't know.
Just
Either-
saying.
either-
Speed Force
way,
ain't gotta explain it.
You're right though about the speedster thing. It's some cool special effects, and I feel like they've
Definitely.
done mostly a really good job with that. But it would be cool to see somebody else. I was hoping they were going to return to the Gorilla City with Grodd,
Yes.
or I don't expect Mirror Master because I just assume they're going to use him in the movies.
Except the rumors are that it's going to be Reverse Flash in the movie, and so likely that Mirror Master is still available.
I mean, do you think they're going to do it any better than the show did?
I mean, I don't know. The show was really great, but
I mean,
I'm not going to say no. Who knows? I mean, it could be really
The
good.
story was really good. You're only going to do so much more with a larger budget, but
Mark Hamill was a great Joker on TV. So was Heath Ledger in the movie. We don't know.
Yeah.
It does. I'm
It's a
not too
different take.
concerned about the movie, to be honest. I know what I want to see. I want to see either Gorilla City, and I know I'm not going to see that
Yeah.
without their budget tripling. So let's do Mirror Master. And Mirror Master is a huge part of the Injustice League and or the Legion of Doom, whichever they want to go by. So
So is Grodd. Yeah, I mean, so that could be a part of that too.
yeah.
I mean, they could play into that.
But
for like
so
season
is
5
Savage,
or something.
and we've already seen Savage, so there's no reason why we can't see him popping around as
Replace
Well,
Joker
I
with
actually
the
don't-
dude, or not Joker, Lex with the dude from Supergirl.
There you go.
can you see... Can you have Savage? Because he was killed in 3 time frames.
I don't know.
So
Who knows?
does he
Speed
exist?
Force.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
I'm just I'm just thinking logistically there, but
I mean-
but keep in mind you can't have like a normal supervillain when this season starts because Barry won't have any powers.
That's
So
true.
here's what I'm hoping
Well,
is
technically, there will still be a villain. He just can't do anything about it. So
Unless there's another speedster like maybe Wally.
No, not even that. Unless there's another explosion. Like, you go back and you save your mom. Maybe there wasn't the explosion.
There shouldn't be, right?
no, it
Because
shouldn't be.
Wells is still Wells and not actually Thawne, so he wouldn't have pushed that technology. It wouldn't have been ready yet for it to go bad,
Yep.
right?
See, I'm hoping that Reverse Flash is just kind of a red herring at this point. Everybody's like, it's going to be Reverse Flash again. But I'm hoping that it's actually going to be the Black Flash, which was hinted at with Zoom
Right.
at the end of the finale when he gets like the red, this lightning bolts change to red, and like the
and they didn't
zombie
just
thing
throw that
happens.
in there to throw that in
I mean,
there,
maybe
right?
they did, but that's a lot of
I
work
don't
for
feel like
something
they've
that they're
done
just
that much.
throwing in.
Well, they hinted at Cobalt. They've hinted at
That's
Green
true.
Lantern multiple times. Not Flash. Well,
But
Flash
this was-
talks about Coast City all the time.
This was more of like an actual, like they had to spend time
Yeah.
doing CG on it rather than a camera move in front of a jacket that says Jordan.
Which
you
is
know?
really the only actual reference. Like there was the whole Diggle next to a greenish lantern.
Yeah.
I
but-
really feel like that's just you reaching, sweetie.
I didn't come up with that.
No, the internet came up with that and Derek embraced it
You
wholeheartedly.
you gave it to me.
I
Ryan.
told you about it, yeah.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. That never even occurred
Guys.
to me.
Bro hug later.
All right, fine. So Flash. So what did you guys think about really expanding the multiverse all the way to an Earth 3 with John Wesley Shipp being the Flash as Jay Garrick?
Well, I thought that reveal. I mean, a lot of us knew it was coming as soon as he
We-
was like, "My
yeah.
mother's maiden name was Garrick." Oh, come on, even
Well,
before
I
that,
didn't know it was Earth 3. I assumed that was the same
right?
guy.
Well, the Earth
But-
3 thing, for me, it's whatever. They're just going to keep reaching to different Earths as long as they have
And that's
stories
fine,
to
because
tell.
that's
Yeah.
what they do in the comics.
I'm
so
just
no
worried it's
big
going to get
deal.
confusing is where I'm at because it's different in a comic book. You can read at your own pace and everything like that. And I guess you can watch a TV show at your own pace, but it's meant to be digested in a certain time frame. And I don't know.
I thought it was really fantastic. that
He
they
looks
did that.
great.
Yeah, I mean, and I told you guys this off the air that in my opinion, it's one of the greatest superhero costumes I've seen in like real form, not on the page of a comic book or something.
As far as accuracy to the comic, I think it is.
Yeah, I just think it was beautifully done, and I think that John Wesley Shipp, like he's born to play that role. So I hope we get to see him again. If it's not in Flash, then maybe Legends of Tomorrow.
That
And
would be
we'll get
cool.
to that.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
So, do you guys have any other thoughts then about Flash? I mean, I love it, so I have very little criticism.
Yeah, I don't agree. I mean, it's just he goes this second season of just keeps going after his mom, and I thought he learned when he was in the Speed Force about okay, I'm done, and then he's like, Iris goes full on, I love you almost, and then it's like okay, not now, and then
And he
just
does-
runs away.
Yeah, that's.
And I'm like,
He does the I know.
and I mean.
He does seem to undo that entire episode about him being trapped in the Speed Force.
He really does. So I really want the Speed Force to just like slap him here and be like, nope, bad, no. We gave you this and you totally messed it up.
Well, the problem with doing either Infinite Crisis or Flashpoint is they heavily revolve around a good like 10, 15 members of the Justice
True.
League, including the Trinity, which as of now has been kept off
Well, the
TV.
Trinity on TV is a different Trinity. I mean, they could
Right.
you
Well-
can kind of replace some of the members with people that are on TV, especially now that Supergirl is part of
Well,
it.
that's a big deal that enters that when we get to Supergirl, because Superman is actually supposed to show up now, which is a pretty big shift in who's been allowed to be on TV.
Hold that, because I want to talk about that too for sure.
We will when we get to Supergirl.
But-
But yeah, so
I don't know,
which
just different.
characters will they be able to do in this alternate reality if they do Flashpoint or Infinite Crisis? I mean, these are...
I really feel like they'll focus a lot on
It's
the
gonna be more
Flash
Flashpoint, I
characters,
think.
to be honest. There's a good chance that, the main players in Flashpoint were Barry and Thomas Wayne, but it was also Wonder
Reverse
Woman and
Flash.
Aquaman
Right.
True. Yeah.
and Reverse Flash, yeah.
But I mean, could they do that massive of the war and everything and kind of have that story? I mean,
Well,
I don't think
Legends
I don't
of
think
Tomorrow had some pretty far out
they
there.
did.
It's the
but-
characters that I'm worried about
Yeah,
more
it
than
is.
their ability.
I could see Superman coming in with the connection to Supergirl if he comes in, if he popped in and kind of did a last minute and helped him get his speed or kind of help him, and then he kind of drift away for a second. But
You can replace. I feel like you can replace any of those characters with their with the characters that are already in the CW.
Their
verse.
analogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my main concern, and Ryan and I have talked about this quite a bit, is if you're doing this in this connected universe, Supergirl's not connected yet.
Yeah.
We assume she will be at some point, but the other three shows are already connected. The characters cross over all the time. Can you have the Flash do something like this and have that not reflect on Arrow and Legends of
No,
Tomorrow?
has
I
to.
did read something that they weren't gonna affect Arrow, but this was.
But how could you do that?
I don't know. I don't agree with
Laurel
it.
and
I do-
Cisco crossover.
Trust me,
and-
I don't agree with it whatsoever. They should, since they went full on mess up, it should affect everything. you
Well,
know?
I mean, obviously, one show doesn't affect the other show fully. Legends of Tomorrow did a whole bunch of stuff with the timeline, and it didn't change anything
But,
as far
I
as
mean,
we can tell.
Well, remember that was the whole the timeline hasn't set yet thing.
Okay.
Because with time travel, you can bend those rules.
and they were being manipulated.
right. So like
that-
basically, when they were done and they
Yeah.
defeated Savage, everything reset in normal.
Well,
present
maybe
day.
there won't be enough time with Barry and Back in Time for the timeline to reset. I mean, there's a lot of ways they can explain it. It's not going to affect anything.
really bothered by the going back in time and undoing pretty much the last two seasons,
everything.
because as soon as he said Earth 3, I was like, oh my god, we could see the crime syndicate, and that would be flippin' cool.
Except that
Well-
DC is going to use that for a movie.
Well, even, whether they
In
do
the
or not,
rumors, anyway.
in this universe, they can't, or they have to be on a different Earth, because Jay Garrick's not with them on the same Earth.
Right.
So the crime syndicate's got to be Earth 4 or something.
It doesn't matter. The different Earth means...
I just meant that Earth 3 is not their Earth.
when they play around with the multiple Earths, my favorite story is the crime syndicate
It's
story.
a good one.
And having the Flash go up against Johnny Quick would be a speedster we haven't seen, who's, he's a child in with superpowers. He's a spoiled brat. Nobody's ever told him no. He's not some evil scientist genius like Thawne. He's not some
Yeah.
psychopathic murderer like
Zoom.
Zoom. Well, I was gonna say Zolomon. So
Yeah.
he's a brat in a costume, and that's a speedster I'd want to see.
So how do you think they're going to handle then Flash in this next season? Because if it's not going to affect Arrow, then how do you think they're going to handle it on the Flash? Is it
I
going
mean,
to take
it's going to
place?
be resolved. The thing is going to be resolved in the first 5 or 6 episodes, and then they're going to move on to whatever the villain that they've set up in those 6 episodes are, where the timeline is mostly reset, except now Supergirl is in the universe, because they've already said they're going to do a big crossover with everybody, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that was going to be. I wasn't sure because that would be the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they were going to wait until then to have Supergirl come across.
Probably. I mean, the
But-
first
I would
half
assume-
of the entire seasons this year were setups basically for Legends of Tomorrow. So it's likely
Right.
that they're going to do the same thing to set up for Supergirl joining the
But that's
universe
more
and
like-
Legends of Tomorrow.
That's more like 12 episodes.
Maybe it'll be 12. I just think it's going to be resolved in the first part of the first season.
It's just,
Well,
12
that right
episodes
there-
of like a Flashpoint paradox. That's a lot of stuff.
And yeah, I mean, I feel as if they do it sooner, but I get if they waited, because then if it was the giant crossover, that's when they could, if everyone teamed up, that's when they could kind of help get Barry his speed back or something, kind of have that, and then he kind of returned to the game.
But then they have to acknowledge it on the other shows, which I don't think
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, it's...
Well, they don't have to acknowledge it on Supergirl. That's easy.
No,
True, yeah.
but Arrow and Legends will probably not be airing, consecutively with most of the season, I imagine. They'll probably do like they did.
They're off
Yeah, I wasn't sure
they're
what
off
their
doing their
season
own
order
thing,
was, so I
yeah.
didn't know if they were starting in the fall
Yeah,
or not.
and Legends won't really touch anything because, I mean, they're off doing their own thing literally in a different time.
We assume so, yeah.
But they've come back
occasionally
and interacted with characters, I mean, Candy Lots comes back and she sees her sister, who's obviously she's dead now, but that's, you get my point. She sees her dad, all those types of things. So, what universe are they coming back to? Are they protected by all of this? I mean, it's hard for me to understand how they can ignore those
If it's going to be
effects.
difficult for you, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much because they flat out said that it's not going to be affecting Arrow at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think
They better resolve it very quickly.
Well, I think that, Arrow doesn't constantly reference Barry, so I don't think it's that big of a stretch to think that they can just move on like nothing happened and then acknowledge it like 7 episodes in or 6 episodes in that something's happened and they haven't heard from Barry or something like that, and then magically they have to do something.
I guess it depends on
I
how
guess they
far
could.
they take it.
I guess
though,
they
'cause-
could replace Barry instead of Barry helping Oliver with the problem. It was another friendly speedster helping Oliver with the problem, and they just kind of replace it if they don't do full on acknowledge it. Just
It depends which way they go. Every time Barry does this in the comic books, it's a pretty big ripple effect.
Right, but you have to remember the comic books are a little different. In the shows, there are people that just watch Arrow, so they can't do something in Flash that's going to completely change Arrow as a show because it wouldn't make sense to anybody
I
who
agree
doesn't
with
watch
that
it.
statement to an extent, but again, there are people who just read Superman who don't read Batman, and vice versa. I mean, I read Batman, I don't read Superman, but there
Comic
are
book
things
people
that,
are used to that. I mean, you're used to having that ripple effect. TV shows, this is one of the first universes you've had on TV that are connected this way, so it's not going to be that easy.
I
It's
get that
it has a potential to, either keep Barry on that island for longer than 5 years, or Barry never ends up on that boat. Or not Barry, Oliver. Oliver. I meant Oliver. I'm sorry. If you couldn't tell, I'm sick. So, yeah, Oliver never becomes the Arrow or something like that.
I'm sure they'll do that on Flash, though,
right,
not on Arrow.
Right, and...
I don't know.
So if it's not
that would
resolved
disappoint
quickly,
me. I get it. You're probably. I mean, I'm sure you're right. I'm not doubting you.
and honestly, I think we're gonna have to talk about this in another 2-3 months when we learn more, because now it's we know nothing. We're
we know what the showrunners have said, so I mean, it's
we don't know a lot.
Yeah,
of
it's just disappointing. It's a little.
I don't
disappointing
disagree. Trust me, if I had my dream, then that would reset that Laurel is back, Felicity is the one that died, and Green Arrow is the goatee sporting vigilante that we all know and love. I mean, that's...
I mean, when Laurel showed up on Flash as Black Siren, I thought that was...
She was treated better in one episode
episodes
of Flash than she was in the entire 4 seasons of Arrow.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
All right. So is that good for Flash? You guys have anything else?
Yeah.
I think we could go on this for another 20 minutes of just Flash. So
All right.
I think...
Legends of Tomorrow. So Legends of Tomorrow, it was a half-season show, so it started in the winter. I really had a lot of fun with the show. I know it took a little bit of time for it to get up and running, but what do you guys think?
It had its ups and downs. I wasn't always on board every episode, but I enjoyed the playfulness of it mixed with the intense drama, which they definitely had. There were definitely a few things that I think they could have cut out. I could go another, 10 years without ever seeing somebody turn into a freakishly horrible meteorite bird, but...
Oh, the weird bat creatures?
They were birds. They clearly had beaks. They were dinosaurs.
I liked it. It was different. I'm hoping that since it was kind of a half season, they kind of got their bearings, they got started, because they probably knew that the Savage storyline wasn't gonna... I mean, I personally like Savage. I wish they could have done a really long season with him, but...
Yeah.
Again, you can't do that, so that's why they picked a half. So that kind of set it up for a better next season, I hope. Where the Justice League of
Justice Society
of
America. Yep,
got dropped in at the last minute of the show
with our men.
Yes, their most compelling character.
They totally did that so that way
You
everybody
had to
go look it
immediately
up,
go
is basically-
Google him.
right? Because I'm a DC guy,
Like,
as
who is
listeners
Rex
know.
Tyler?
I love the characters that founded the Justice Society of America include Alan Scott, Green Lantern, and Jay Garrick, Flash. Two of my favorite comic book characters. I could not remember who that guy was.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the show too, but I think it was probably 6 episodes too long.
It has some
Also,
interesting ones.
there was anytime you do a time travel show, there's always going to be huge plot holes, and that does bother me. For somebody that this Flash stuff is going to bother so much, you seem to have no problem with the obvious plot holes with time travel.
See, I'm a Doctor Who fan. I'm used to plot holes.
Well, there you go. And maybe that's what it is. I'm not used to
The thing
glaring
is, though,
plot holes.
being a Trekkie, all you gotta do is throw in one jargon line, and if you've written it well, then it works. So the concept
that was the problem. It wasn't written well.
No, it was pliable. Time is pliable, and it takes time to set. And just throwing those lines in meant that it took time for their effects to actually.
It makes way more sense than Felicity's laptop. Only
Right.
laptop in the world.
The greatest
accessible to
weapon, the greatest weapon of all
So.
time. Well, I mean, you're easier to look over that apparently than I am because I
Well,
think
it's a comic book.
I
At the end
think
of the day,
that's
it's a comic book
it's,
show.
it's a horrible line that just is like we can't think of anything else.
Can
so
we
here we
just
go.
ask the big question here? Do you guys think the Wave Runner will be an iconic spaceship after this?
No.
Okay.
No. Here's the if you really had such a problem with that, then there's no way you could buy into that finale where they have to kill Savage in 3 different times.
I mean, it was fun. The only
because I actually found that to be utterly ridiculous.
I enjoyed the show. I had a lot of fun with it. It was so comic booky. I
Yeah.
thought the Flash was a comic booky show. No, this is super cheesy, and I could get behind that. The plot holes bother me, and the fact that
was there one in particular? Because at the
there
moment I'm
was
not
just
thinking of
basically
any, so.
anything involving going to a different time period. There was glaring plot holes with everything, and it's been so long. I know you guys finished it way more recently than I did.
Yeah, we were
so.
a few episodes behind. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I
but-
didn't like the fact that the third from the last episode basically wiped out the entire rest of the season. I mean, it's kind of like the Flash's thing where he basically undid the entire 2 seasons of the Flash.
Yeah, I mean that's
it's
more
annoying.
of a that's less of a plot hole or an
That's not a plot
inconsistency
hole.
as
That's
much
just
as
annoying.
making writing easier.
Yes, that was not a plot hole. That was simply bothersome, I guess. I don't know. It was all fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna watch next season. I just they really need to just tighten up the reins a little bit and fill.
And I think they will actually.
I hope they do.
They can have a better.
They need to borrow some of the Flash's writers.
As the season went on, they started to lean on their better characters. I think having the focus be on Hawkgirl and
That was a
Hawkman,
mistake.
They didn't handle that well. The guy who plays Hawkman, I just couldn't buy into him. And she was just so back and forth with who she
I was a
wanted to be.
barista 3 months ago. If I heard that line anymore, I was going to gouge my eyes out.
At the end of
Why not your ears?
Or my ears. I would take probably one of each at least.
She causes so much trouble because of her inconsistency when you think about
And she just
she's
can't
got
get it.
Savage. She can kill him and end this all right now.
At least
but
2 to 3
because
times she could kill him.
But because
no.
he won't, her lover won't really remember who he is. She's just going to let these millions of people die
Except
anyway.
that she had Ray Palmer, who's a better lover, I'm sure.
Who she lived with, was in love with for 2 whole years.
Yeah, he's
Well, they
was
were
going to end up
forgotten.
getting married to if they don't get picked up, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so those 2 characters bothered me a lot. But yeah, Adam was fantastic. White Canary, Cold, and I mean,
The thing is, they focus on... They didn't have the best characters to focus on when they started the show. They took all of their C characters that either were absolutely great as sidekicks to Flash or Arrow.
I don't look at them that way. I think that if
They
you,
flat out say it. They're
No,
like,
I know-
you
I know
guys
that-
are inconsequential.
I know
And I'm
that
like, well, you're kind of inconsequential.
I know
to
that
the
they
story.
say it, but if you analyze the big 3, Adam, White Canary, and Cold, you're looking at Adam, who easily could have had his own show if he's in a different city than Arrow. White Canary, who, no offense to Katie Cassidy, I thought pulled off the Black Canary character better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Cold, who, other than Zoom and Reverse Flash,
She was really the only recurring villain.
who's not a speedster.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I think all 3 of those actors are very good. I thought all 3 characters were very good and easily could have been mainstays on those other shows.
So I agree that they dropped the ball on Hawkman and Hawkgirl, which is incredibly upsetting because
Yeah.
Hawkgirl is one of my favorite characters of all times. But it's really difficult that nobody knows if they want to go the alien route like Justice League or the reincarnation
They
route.
did both.
I know.
They just did both.
Which was awful.
Yeah, I mean, Vandal
But-
Savage's origin was much better in the comic books.
I agree.
With,
His entire
yeah,
motive
Caveman.
and
Yeah, I
everything
love
being
that.
wrapped up with them was just awful. It
was
shouldn't have
weird.
been like that.
It always had me asking the question, why not just go back to the day before the meteor strike?
Yeah.
Again, basically, like when Rip gets captured
Hey,
the
a
first
plot
time.
hole.
Right? That's not so much a plot hole. It's just like that's bad writing. That's not really a hole. It's more of just, well, we're just not going to do that. It's like this fixed point in time that Doctor Who does all the time.
That's horrible,
right?
yeah.
Like,
But-
it's not a plot hole. It is lazy writing, right? Because that's how time travel works. Is you could just go back in time another day and be done with it, which is what the
10
Flash
minutes
does
earlier.
all the time.
Yeah.
Which
right?
Bender does.
Bender does it, Flash does it, and you see what happens when you get interesting stories when you do
Yes.
that. Right, but with Legends of Tomorrow, when you make your bad guy for your season predicated on that, you can't take that easy route.
I did think
There's
it
no
was
show.
You have to have 16 episodes or whatever. So.
I thought it was an incredibly smart move, just based on the showrunner's actions, to kill off Cold, somebody who is 10 times better in this show than he was on Flash, because we got to see more of him. And then the very next day, release that he will appear on every single show in the CW verse.
The Flareoverse.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I want
I-
him to, because I think Wentworth Miller is fantastic, and Cold was great.
But like, I assumed he was gonna get killed off because Prison Break is coming back.
Well, with both of them. I mean,
Yeah.
Heatwave, too. His character was awesome.
the best. He
Well, I
got
mean,
the
if
most
we're-
development.
I mean, as we talk about Prison Break for a quick second, also
Sure.
don't forget about there's two more. Clock King, right? Clock King.
Yeah, he
and then
was-
there's one who's the one with the drug.
Vertigo.
Vertigo, the new Vertigo.
Yeah.
They were all in Prison Break, and
I know, I didn't even think about
there's
that.
that
That's pretty
meme
funny.
of you know them like hunched over and be like, it's like we should escape and go to a new city, and then they gave their code names. I'm like, they're all for that show. So
Do you guys think when these shows come back that Captain Cold is now going to be Citizen Cold because of the Flashpoint paradox and be like a superhero?
That would be so
That's
cool.
interesting.
I'd love that.
I do really like that idea. I think that's a really
I think it would
fun
be an
idea.
interesting thing to do with his character because you've seen him be like this snarky like comic book guy with this weird snarty
Puns.
yeah, with constant cold puns. But I mean, as a hero, how would he be? You
so
know,
many
Yeah.
puns and so many puns.
But he pulls them off really well because he does it in that
because he always kind of looks at
sarcastic
the
way,
camera for a
right?
second afterwards.
It's
You're
that
like,
little bit of
got
fourth
it.
wall
Like
breaking.
he's making fun of himself
Well, he
as opposed to Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the difference.
Exactly,
It's the
that's
difference
true.
between when you know that you are a comic book character and you're doing a comic book TV show and you're supposed to be corny.
For
and
me, it's
cheesy.
more like you shouldn't be saying something like this on a recording of any kind, but you're gonna do it anyway, so you're gonna sell it no matter what.
I think that's how
what it
he
is
was
for
on
me.
the Flash. But once he gets to Legends of Tomorrow, he knows that's what
true.
like that.
We just
works.
didn't have that much
You
of
know.
him, and he was also sharing his second and third appearance with Golden Glider and Heatwave, so we couldn't see
Yeah.
all of them together, and or like we couldn't have him separate.
No,
but
it's very true.
the two of them, Heatwave and Captain Cold, got some intense development. Kronos was
So cool.
a very surprising.
You thought it was surprising?
The way they went with it.
Yeah.
See, okay.
Yeah, I
expected them just
didn't
to-
immediately assume when I saw Kronos, like, hey, they knew
Well,
that
not the
guy,
first time
and-
I saw him, but after a few episodes, I was like, nah, I think this is gonna be where they go with it. And
But I
they
didn't
did,
think
but-
he'd come back. That's the thing that I missed. I figured he'd
Yeah,
just be the bad guy.
I definitely didn't.
You
didn't
know,
go that
so
route.
when he came back and the way he came back, now he's a more intelligent character and they can actually really
the redemption
use him.
arc was good.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally.
And
I do have to say that by the end, I was totally shipping White Canary and Captain Cold.
I know,
Gosh,
right?
Don't be one of those.
No,
But
they
they
were
worked.
cute.
Don't start doing that on Twitter, or else
no,
the
no.
whole show's gonna be
I
the
don't-
snart and the
don't-
snart.
I
the
love how
snart
when
dairy.
you get angry and you talk about like internet trolls, you get T-Rex arms. You're
Ah,
like,
that's how they type, don't you know? Olicity.
there's a difference between having characters have a relationship and having that relationship be the focus of the show.
Well, there's
Right.
not when
You
you're
know,
talking to
and-
specific showrunners involved in
and-
this universe.
I feel like they could work well if they were real people in the real world. They would be great together from
Yeah.
what I've seen. Right. I don't expect him to do it on the show.
I don't want to see it on the show.
But-
Maybe like a hint at it would be okay, or like if
I
he did as in the background.
I liked
whatever.
the way they handled it.
Yeah.
You know, he admits that he has some sort of feelings for her. He wants to see her after this is all done, and
She's like, I swing the other way, dude. Sorry.
But I like the way he
she's
does.
bisexual, clearly.
But I like the way he does it. It's like, well, I want to think about me, think about you, think about you and me. It's
a great line.
And then he looks at the camera again.
It's such a good cold line.
Cold.
You know? Like no, look, I'm
That
using it.
wasn't a pun.
That was not a pun. That was
No one thinks everything cold is a pun now. He's watched way too much of these shows.
too many.
It just worked really well for me, right? Like, and I almost like I heard it right before it happened, but that's because it was perfect, and I liked it. I thought that was a lot of fun. It was
Something different for sure. So
The show had some really high points. It had some low points. Don't get me wrong. I don't like how they finished off Savage. The idea of you have to kill him in 3 different time periods at the same time with these meteorite particles.
You have to shrink the meteorite and turn it to water also at the same time.
I'm gonna say that I absolutely this season I loved the appearances of the other characters. Now I will admit I haven't seen the Vixen episode, and you weren't a big fan of it, but I did see the
talk about that.
I did see the Constantine episode in Arrow, and I did see
that one was cool.
That was a good episode.
and I did see the Jonah Hex episode, and those are 2 characters I would love to see on next season's Legends of Tomorrow.
And see, they've announced that Vixen is going to be, but it's going to be a different actress.
Different actor,
which is funny because when I talked to you guys about Vixen, I said that my problem was
The actress.
the actress. Her voice is probably great for the show on the CW seat or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't watch that, but as an actress, I did not buy it. I thought she was a bad actress.
Well,
and then
she
they
actually hasn't
replaced it.
been on screen for quite some time. She's been a voice actress. Now, she started on screen.
So they're going to use the voice actor for the animated show. They're going to do a season 2, and she'll do the voice in season 2. But she has a scheduling conflict, is what they're saying. So they have a different actor for the live action.
We'll be curious. I hope that it's somebody better because I did not buy her as Vixen at all. It was
But it's weird seeing
worst acting I've seen on any of those
the
shows.
casting rumors are all for Vixen, Constantine. But they show at the end of the season it's the Justice Society of America.
Yeah.
And the founding members are
So
a
there's
Green Lantern and a Flash.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have John Wesley Shipp then be that Jay Garrick?
I would imagine.
Carter Hall is
they
one. Carter Hall is a founding member, so I mean.
Yeah.
So
There were
it's
4
Kendra.
founding members. Which,
So we might end up with him back, I guess. But
Let's
I
hope
don't
not.
think they'll be back for the whole thing. I will think we will see them 1 or 2 episodes.
Well, I mean, it's been established already. The Justice League or Justice Society of America has been established, obviously. So
Somewhere
it's
along
possible
the
that they
line.
may not be there anymore, but that they still exist. Alan Scott.
Yeah, maybe they went
Jay
off.
Garrick.
well, that's the fair
and
point.
Did their own.
Yeah, they may have separated from the group, or maybe Jay Garrick is getting older and just doesn't feel like he can
Yeah, the
superhero as
timeline's
hard
a little
anymore.
funky.
yeah, I
but-
actually did. I don't know if you guys. This is my first mention of this because if you can tell, I don't read all the comics, but my first mention of the society was in Smallville. Actually, was where I got, and what I liked about that was it was back in like the 60s or 70s. And then Clark and Chloe, they dig all this up, and then Carter Hall kind of walks in the room with, which I'm kind of hoping for, Dr. Fate.
Yes.
They did wait. That was on Smallville.
Doesn't Smallville, yeah. It was like 2 to 3 episodes of.
I did. I stopped watching it
I
because
liked it.
Superman needs to be able to fly.
I liked it actually. So I mean, I like that they were an older society, because then that kind of moves into.
Well, Dr. Fate exists in this world because I mean,
I want to see him.
Constantine exists in this universe. They've had that.
There's no reason.
I will
Dr.
go.
Fate-
first episode,
I will
Constantine
go.
had
I will
a
go all
helmet in
money
his
on
house.
Dr. Fate because
So-
he's a random character, but people know him, and I think that'd be one that you could bring back. Because I mean,
He does automatically make Our Man inconsequential. We really don't need Our Man
Well,
if we
most
have
of the
Dr. Fate.
superheroes have,
Well, that's-
make him.
That's kind of the issue,
Because I'm
right?
sick,
But
I
Dr. Fate is
accidentally
also-
pronounce it Dr. Feet. So
It's okay. We weren't
That's
making you out on it.
sorry.
Dr. Fee, he makes
bad.
magical shoes.
Yes, he actually goes by his surname, Dr. Scholes.
It's more of like a pseudonym, so people
Yeah, there you go.
they can't trace
I
him back.
like it. I like
Like
it.
Bruce Wayne and Batman.
I'm really curious to see where they go with that, though. I think that
How many do
creating-
you think are gonna come back to be on the team?
Not
Well,
many. Adam will be.
Adam, I assume that you'll have
Firestorm.
White Canary.
Firestorm for sure.
See, I
Firestorm.
imagine White Canary might go back to Arrow.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't
mean, she
necessarily
might
think
show
that White
up.
Canary is going to be
But
back for sure. I mean, Black Canary is gone now, so there's
Yeah.
a hole there, and he has to have his whole team that's better at fighting than he is. So.
Yeah. in which
Unless
she's
it's the
better
boss
at,
fight.
Unless the boss fight where he has the crowd like with him and giving him positive vibes. Yeah.
Like, how many times did White Canary go up against people with assault rifles with just her bow staff? And she was like, I got this, guys.
There was one episode of Arrow where Arrow, Thea, and Diggle all fought one guy that was not like League of Assassins trained or anything, and they got beat by him and he got away. And I couldn't even believe what was happening right now. These are League of Assassin trained people. What's going on?
All right, so let's go ahead. We'll move on to Supergirl. So, for those who don't know, Supergirl is a CBS show that's been picked up now by the CW.
And CBS owns
They
CW.
do. Yeah, so it's not that much of a stretch. Okay. If you don't watch Supergirl, Flash has actually already been on Supergirl. They did a fun little crossover episode that is barely even alluded to on The Flash.
Yeah, it was like a second where he disappears.
It's like, how long was I gone? Like 5 seconds. And that was that. Yeah, the entire episode happened in there.
He wasn't like, I met this girl in a skirt. And
yeah, she was really strong. She was almost as fast as me.
There's this whole different world. They called out the CW. I don't even know what that is.
That was a great joke, by the way.
Calista Flockhart's the coolest.
I'm really nervous she won't be back because I'm not sure the CW could afford her. Because she's a pretty big name actor.
I'd be pretty disappointed if she didn't come back.
I agree.
I mean, other than the Supernatural guys, do you think there's anybody else in the CW that would get paid as much?
Probably not.
And only the Supernatural guys, because this is season 11.
Right.
Like they've worked their way up the pay grade.
They get their quarterly review, you know.
I do have a question. Because I didn't watch Supergirl at all. I mean, I saw one episode and then that's about it. Is it another Earth?
She's on another Earth.
So is it?
They haven't specified.
So technically, we have 4 Earths.
Technically, Earth.
This would be Earth
right
4.
now. Okay.
Yeah, because she is not on an Earth with a Flash.
Okay.
They could have made that reference in that episode of The Flash, though, where he goes, I guess you would call it Earth 3, and then they could say something about the flying girl. But they didn't.
Oh, they could. Well, yeah, I mean, Earth 3 could be doable because, I mean, Jake Garrick's been gone for X amount of years, so I mean, depending
how long?
But Superman exists in Supergirl's world. Okay,
true.
So the thing is that in Supergirl on that Earth there is a Superman. You don't ever get to see him. You see his silhouette. Boots. You see his boots.
Yeah. You see him
lying on a bed. Oh yeah, I
thought that was clever. Though. I like that.
I am curious as to like who the lucky guy was that got to play Superman.
So here's where things get interesting. The Superman character will officially be on the show in at least the first couple of episodes next season.
And who do you want?
So they're casting. I want Tom Welling from
I want
Smallville.
Tom Welling.
I mean, high five,
Thank
right?
you.
I'm not the biggest Smallville fan because it was the monster of the week and he never became Superman in 10 years.
Okay.
But Tom Welling was not the problem.
Actually,
no. He was very good.
He kind of was, actually. Well, blame him, but I mean, it was the last episode I read some article. He actually didn't want to don the suit and everything. So that's why they saved it for the very last 30 seconds, actually.
But if you had made him Superman in the 4th season, make him fly or something. I mean, I can only have the guy waking up, floating above his bed so many times.
But you have to have something because that incompletes him that he's not Superman
There is no Tom
yet.
Welling, only Zool.
Yeah,
Superman has weaknesses and he can still be Superman.
I know, but
we'll focus on Supergirl
on a TV show that was the kind of first of its kind to do full on superhero.
Sorry, you guys are...
I liked it. I liked how it worked. It was a very...
It went on for 10 years, so it was obviously successful.
And it started the superhero chain, so...
In this universe, we're going to have a Superman. We don't know who it's going to be yet. A lot of people want it to be Tom Welling, especially since his pilot was not picked up on CBS. But I thought the show did a really good job. They had a cool story arc where she had to fight a bunch of Kryptonians. Mm-hmm. She wins that fight. You got Jean the Martian Manhunter, which I could not believe that they did that. But I thought they pulled him off really well.
I agree. I love that.
Yeah. I did see photos of him, and I'm definitely a Martian Manhunter fan. So I'm glad that they could bring him in.
I've been dying to see him live action for years now.
And they did it well. And
exactly.
I didn't expect it to be done well, but it was. I mean, they really didn't give him a lot of screen time in his Martian form. They probably gave him more than I expected.
Towards the end of the season, a little bit.
It was understandable. That's a lot of CGI. That's a lot of money.
Other than like the glowing eyes, it was.
Yeah. But that moment though where he transforms for the first time
was
awesome. Pretty cool.
I did not see that coming at all.
It
was pretty cool.
It didn't occur to me. I actually thought, honestly, when he started doing the eye stuff,
I thought it was going to be Cyborg Superman or something like that, like the actual Hank Henshaw.
I thought he was going to be a White Martian. Honestly, I thought they were going to go the White Martian route because they already had a White Martian, You know, and I just figured he'll be a White Martian, and they didn't do that, obviously. But
Right.
I wasn't quite sure. He could have been Steel for all I knew. I had no idea.
Well, the glowing red eyes, not a characteristic of Steel generally.
yeah,
but
Steel's like a construction worker.
Yeah.
No, I know. I just...
She was just
The
saying
point
it could be
was, like,
anybody.
he could have been.
He could have been
Because at
anybody.
that time, I had no idea. They also included Maxwell Lord, and he flip-flopped between bad guy and good guy, and just always on
He's
his
the Lex
side.
Luthor of...
But he was a little more Magneto-y.
He is a very Lex Luthor-ish character. He was in the comics. I'm really hoping this just builds up to one of my favorite scenes in the comics where Wonder Woman wraps her lasso around him and snaps his neck like a damn twig.
I don't think that's going to
Yeah, I'm
happen
gonna
on the
say that's
CW.
unlikely.
But for me,
Well,
though,
it would be
I feel
funny.
like
Right.
Maxwell Lord and Katz have kind of become like the Magneto Professor X relationship, where she just keeps talking him into being a good guy sometimes.
And sometimes it's necessary to be talked into doing the right thing.
But that happened a lot. I like him. I thought he did a really good job, and I thought it was a
He
fun
plays the
relationship.
smarmy, like, smart dude pretty well.
He does.
So,
Peter Facinello has always played that character.
yeah.
He did a good job with that. I liked the dynamic of the show. I liked that it was bright and fun. They kind of
I liked it towards the end. The beginning was so rough with, like, the constant, like, girl power. It's like we have, like, one of the most powerful people in this universe. That's a woman. We don't really need, like, the in-your-face girl power. And they did get better about that.
I
Like,
still
five
maintain
episodes
that
in, 4 or 5 episodes
in the first season they haven't quite figured out what to do with all their characters together. They've got a good ensemble, but they're still like great step, misstep.
Yeah.
Right? So I think they'll get it together. And I'm not saying that Flash doesn't have those moments, and Arrow definitely hasn't had those moments since season 2. So, you know, the Supergirl, I'm willing to give
I
as
watched
much
the whole
time
season,
as possible.
so I mean,
Like,
I liked it.
I mean, I put it on par with Arrow's first season because there were quite a few bad guys. I thought he was great, but I thought some of the villains he went up against were just ridiculous. Like the Royal
Red
Flush.
Tornado?
Well, yeah, Red Tornado, the Royal Flush Gang can kind of compare. The Royal Flush Gang in
guess.
season 1 was just awful, and Vertigo was awful in season 1, but
That's
Red
true.
Tornado was ridiculous. He could have done so much better.
I didn't think Red Tornado was that bad.
I did not
Well,
like it at all.
okay, Silver Banshee and Livewire
No,
are
Silver
Ban-
way,
that was horrible.
They are way cooler in the comics.
Yeah, that
Silver
was
Banshee was flat out bad.
And
I-
Livewire had Captain Cold Puns without the coolness.
Yeah, right? It
She
was-
was, but she was. I thought she was serviceable. I thought for a first season villain, she was good. But Banshee, I thought was pretty awful.
Serviceable is not... come on.
In
it
the
was
first
so
season
bad.
of a show like
Yeah,
this,
but
I
first
mean,
season of Flash was... I mean, come on.
Flash. The first season of
Sorry,
Flash
I
is
want to
an
make
anomaly.
a really inappropriate joke. I'll have to tell you guys later.
The first
Please
season of
do.
Flash is an anomaly. Most shows are never that good starting off.
It's very true.
That's fair,
mean-
but
I
we're
mean-
talking about 4 specific shows here, so of course I'm going to compare it to
No,
one of the
that's-
best first
it's-
season.
It's fair to compare, but if you were to say straight up which one had the best first season, it's Flash.
Yeah.
I don't
And,
even think that's up for
the
debate.
thing is, we can't really even count Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow without having a second season to compare. Because what if the first season is their best season?
Well, I just meant if you took just the first seasons of those 4 shows, Flash had the best first season of those 4 shows. You know, I'm not sure which one had the worst, but you know, maybe that's up for debate. But I think the best
sure.
was the Flash. You know?
Yeah.
So how do you guys think they'll bring Supergirl into the CW verse?
Well, it's obviously going to be something with the Flash. They're going to
Yeah.
use that because that's their only gateway into bringing another world into theirs, basically. What Arrow is going to shoot an arrow, or Felicity's going to hack into another world and bring it in? I mean,
she
come
is.
on.
Ollie's going to shoot an arrow with a laptop on it.
Right. They'll activate 15,000 nukes into space and we'll pull
So,
that.
what if Cisco, his powers get a little more intense
A little
and
wonky.
Well, he's working
no,
on that. I mean, he's
just,
working
like,
on it.
he controls it,
Yeah.
and they create a portal, and that way Supergirl and Flash can cross over whenever they need each other's help.
So she wouldn't actually be on their world.
Cisco can control the portal, so it's not just readily available for everybody to use.
That would be kind of
And-
disappointing.
It
But
would be, I agree. But I mean, it's an easy way to do
mild
it.
problem,
Yeah.
mild problem with this. If he goes back in time, is there still going to be the explosion that affects
Well,
everybody?
that's the thing.
Right.
If, if they do it right, there shouldn't really be an explosion, but they can always come up with something else. I wanted her to be in the same world.
I get
and
that.
how do you do that?
Well, then you have to bring Superman into the same world
Exactly.
too. It's like,
Well,
and at that
there's a
point,
couple of
why
things.
should Arrow continue?
Yeah.
He really should just sit down and
then you
let
can
the
say
good
that
fight
about all
go.
of
you could
DC
say
and
that about
Marvel
Flash,
comics.
though, because Flash could solve all Arrow's problems in like 2 seconds.
Right.
So
that's the issue with comic books in general when you have superheroes, right? But there's a couple things you have to think about. You could rip Supergirl away from her world, and she doesn't have a way to get back. You
would lose all your characters that you
would
like
lose
a
all of your
lot,
characters,
so,
right?
That wouldn't be a good
you have
option.
to answer the question why she's not constantly trying to get back.
Yeah.
Right? Or you have to bring her world into this one, and then you have those logistical issues of what city is it taking the place of? What happens to those
Haven
lives?
Rock that just got nuked.
Right? Like, are they?
That's
Do they
the easy
have
way to do it.
doppelgangers? Is there a Kara doppelganger on Earth?
Season 4 of Arrow is just wasteland. By the way, it's Arrow Mad Max.
Let's hope.
Mad Oliver.
I'd be okay with that.
Right?
So there's a lot, but yeah, you bring Superman in, you have some of those issues, but I think
Magic Portal idea still sounds the best.
the Magic Portal does solve a lot of those issues. It
Except
would be a
that all
little
your
disappointing,
tension,
though.
all your dramatic tension in those crossover episodes is going to be, they've got Cisco. How are we going to get the portal open? And it's
Yeah.
like,
No,
okay,
I
they're
want-
gonna
I
get
want
everything.
her-
Not really, because I mean, Flash doesn't run to Arrow's help every single time he needs
No,
help.
I'm saying that if
But-
on the crossover episodes, that's what the drama is going to be. You're not going to do it every time, but every crossover you have to, because otherwise it's too easy.
I do have one possible alternative. Since
One?
they're doing this type of Flashpoint, Crisis, Infinite, whatever, you could have it where the resolution to that alters the timeline enough so there was no
Like the
Superman.
New 52.
Like the New 52 in some way, right? Where there is no Superman.
Krypton didn't blow up.
No, Krypton blew up, but maybe his ship didn't make it. Only her ship made it.
But-
or his ship landed somewhere else and we don't
He's
know.
on Mars?
Right? He's not here.
But I mean,
he's
doesn't
not
that?
on Earth.
But I mean,
He's the new Martian
But he's
Manhunter.
already going to be in the show, so I mean,
Seriously
that's
makes him the red
in the
sun.
beginning of the show, though, when
Yeah.
she's still on her own
much.
Earth.
okay. So she's
But
going
at
to be
some
on her.
point,
Okay.
if they merge their Earths, which I feel like they should and they need to, because you have an iconic character sitting on your Monday night slot, you in this expanded universe, you could do it and get rid of Superman without much of an issue.
Which I think is a good idea anyway. I didn't say it when you guys were talking about it, but I don't really love the idea of bringing Superman into the show, and I've said this to you guys before.
I don't think he needs to be in there a lot. I think denying his presence is dumb, and it's smart that she acknowledges that he exists. However, it's no longer a Supergirl show. You can't deny the fact that Superman is a bigger, more known character.
And the only reason they're bringing him into the show is because he's a bigger, well-known character, and they want those high ratings in the first 2 episodes. Why do you think they said it's the first 2 episodes? I mean,
no,
and
totally. From a
it's going to
marketing
overshadow
perspective.
if they're both fighting. Superman is going to overshadow her, so you know that the
Unless
conflict is going to.
there's an exception though. In the comic book world, she is faster than him, and they could use that to show in those 2 episodes. Something happens where she's able to get in front of something before him, or grab something, or knock him out of the way, or do something faster than him.
Just because she does something better than him does not mean that he's not going to overshadow her.
What I mean
which
is
what's
they
going to happen.
can put them on the same level, because in the comic books they do end up on
It's
If
the
they're on the
kinda
same level,
why-
he's still going to overshadow her. Is what I'm saying.
It's kind of why Batman has never appeared on Arrow. He makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. They've
I
mentioned.
thought it was a rights issue.
Well, there may be that.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
but-
I'm sure there is, but they've mentioned Bloodhaven and
Yeah, but you could have the other Bat characters, right? You
I
could
don't
have
know.
Red Hood or Nightwing show up.
Well, I just think that the tension is going to be that that either Superman goes bad or something happens that takes him out of the fight, like happened in this last season.
I would
and
have-
that's where the tension is going to be, is because he's always getting knocked down and she has to save him.
You could have
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in the sense of a woman saving a man or anything like that. It's just going to get old if that's the only reason he's introduced, is so that she could save him.
But I
What
don't think
would
it's going to
be-
get old, because I think it's only going to happen that time.
Well, it already
Because-
happened once, is what I'm saying.
She didn't save him. She saved everybody. You know what I mean? Like, this was just...
Emphasis on him because you saw his boots sticking out.
Well, he's
he,
Superman. What?
He fell from the sky and he was
You
an
saw
alien.
that too, but then you saw him on the table with like the boots.
Well, the DEO was going to
Again, they
were
are
going to-
cousins, right? So ignoring his existence, that doesn't work.
Well, I'm not saying
So
no, but
that's
he
why
doesn't
I
need to be on the
think
show.
that they can use this Flashpoint opportunity to erase him
I love
from
that
that
idea,
world.
yeah. No,
you
I'm
move
with you
them
on
in that world, and then the DCEU is on Earth 5 or whatever it
And,
is.
yeah, and it could be, he's brought in and then something happens and he steps in the way or he gets pulled into another world or something. It's like, and that's his exit. It's not the best exit, but it's.
Well, you can't do that because then
it's something.
He can, where is
he? Could always show
why
up
aren't
again,
Why aren't they trying to get Superman back?
Yeah.
Right. The Justice League would stop whatever they're doing to go and help Superman.
It depends where they end up and where, I don't know. There's a million things.
Maybe that's what Legends will be about, going and finding Superman.
It's easier to do what DC did with the New 52 and what they're doing now with Rebirth, where they had Flashpoint and then things just changed. They're finally explaining that now with Rebirth, but you can do that. You can just, there's this Flashpoint, he resets it, but only kind of, and these are the changes that happen. And those changes are this, Kara, in this world, Krypton does blow up, and Kara gets sent to Earth. Whereas on the CBS version, it's a different Earth, and they both make it. Whatever. There's tons of ways you can do that, but I think you're going to have to get rid of Superman to merge her. And the portal thing is easy, but that would be a little disappointing.
Ideally, I would like to see DC give up all their big heroes, and we see them on the shows. I would love to see Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman on these shows, but they're not the focus because they have been the focus in everything we've seen up until now. So the fact that they're acknowledged and they're in the background makes me feel like DC knows what they're doing.
But they're not going to be in the background. He's going to be in the foreground now.
I know a lot of people want
only
to
for
see it,
a couple
but
episodes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
it's not called Superman featuring Supergirl.
Well, it might as well be. That's how they're marketing it.
Well, but I think it's a big draw to get new people to watch the show. But by the end of next season, you're going to have 45 episodes of Supergirl, and he's going to be in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, except for the ones where he's made boot cameos.
But he's not in that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Derek,
Like,
you got to stop this. He's not going to give this up. He's
guess-
not
I
going to
guess
give
you're
this
Yeah,
up.
well, speaking of all the characters and everything, I mean, I would love to see Ted Kord come into the
Right?
CW verse. Why they've referenced Kord Industries a bunch of times? Why don't they have Blue Beetle and
they
Legends
might,
of Tomorrow?
though. That's something that's very
That would be
doable.
awesome, right?
Of course, there's all the rumors that they want to do like a Booster Gold movie.
And if that's
But
true,
you
then
don't
I'll
need Blue
then I'll be
Beetle
happy.
for a booster.
you don't
Gold.
need it, but the rumors
It
are that
helps.
they want to kind of do
But
that.
Also, Adam kind of went the route of Blue Beetle, like with the
bit,
armor and everything.
yeah.
So you do the new version where you find out that the Scarab is an alien.
like the teen or the
Yeah,
Young
Young
Justice.
Justice. Do
It's a
that.
cool
Okay with
storyline.
Maybe you don't do Ted Kord. Maybe you do Jaime Reyes instead.
I just want to see Blue Beetle, but
Right?
Ted Kord has been alluded to. That's the only reason why I brought up his
I
name.
agree.
All right, so we are over the hour mark already. So, any final thoughts on Supergirl, the state of the CW universe?
Is it fall yet?
I'm very excited.
Can't wait for that new season of Arrow.
I
I can't even say it with a straight face.
I want to watch Flash.
Damn you, Mark Guggenheim.
Supergirl.
Yes,
So
stop
for,
shipping them.
so for those who don't know, the lineup is Monday nights are Supergirl, Tuesdays are Flash, Wednesdays are Arrow, and then Thursdays are Legends of Tomorrow.
Whenever that starts.
I bet
whenever
you
all that
anything, Flash and Arrow will start a week earlier.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't even know if Legends of Tomorrow starts in the fall.
It was
it
rumored
probably-
that Legends will start in the fall this year and get a full.
It's expensive.
I worry
it's an
about
expensive
that.
show.
It's just such a lot.
Well,
Like they had.
Well,
too
depending on
long
what they
this
do.
season.
Depending on how, I know it's a time travel show, but depending how much they do, because now there's...
Well, it's a lot of big characters. You've got a lot of superheroes on the screen at the same time, whereas, on Arrow and Flash, sometimes they have the big groups, but it's really on the Flash, it's really just him. On Arrow, none of those guys really have
No, you
special
just have the dude
effects.
shooting arrows into the sky and
Right.
grappling onto the sky.
But Adam takes special effects. Captain Cold's gun takes special effects.
Firestorm.
For sure.
yeah, that's why he never like turns into
That's
Firestorm
right, that's
once every
right.
10 episodes.
But he says he has to turn into him every, day.
They do it at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do it-
they just do it while they're sleeping. They
Because
sleep together. They spoon, and then they turn into Firestorm, and they wake up. And
It's
they're
their
not
nightly
Firestorm.
ritual. They brush their teeth, they merge, they go to bed.
That sounds dirty.
Right?
All right, guys. So if you're listening, thanks. Let us know what you think of the CW TV shows. If you're excited to see Supergirl on that same universe as the rest. For everybody, how can people get a hold of you guys? We'll start with Ryan.
Buster Props, like I said at the top of this thing. Come find me. Or you can go and complain on my articles. I usually put written by Derek on them, so just go put lots of mean comments on those articles on the grid.
Noah?
Noah Smith Images. I have a lot of photos from Smallville, Planet, and Colossal, so check them out.
Those are local conventions.
Local
if you're
conventions
not
in Kansas
from-
City.
Colossal is
They're
not a
everywhere.
local.
No.
They're
that's
everywhere,
not.
but it's awesome.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're awesome photos.
Ray?
Carrier pigeon.
That's the number one way. She loves pigeons.
I accept birds now.
Specifically owls.
Or pigeons.
Send me owls.
She is Ray of the Super Sirens cosplay duo. I'm, of course, the Star Trek dude. You can find us at griddaily.com on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at griddaily. We do also have a Patreon, and I made a post about that today. We're revamping the whole thing next week. We're going to have new perk levels, new videos going to come out. We're really going to hit that hard to get you guys some cool stuff. So check out patreon.com/griddaily. And I think we are off next week. We are taking a week off. This ends season 1 of Screen Heroes. 26 episodes.
We did a full
Yay for a
season.
break.
It's really awesome. I'm very excited. So we're going to take a week off. And then after that, I mean, I know we have something planned. Do you guys remember what we have planned when we get back?
I mean, I'm sure it's something good.
Something fantastic.
So it's actually, we're going to review Independence Day Resurgence.
He looked it up.
No, I was looking at chat. Independence Day Resurgence is what we're going to be reviewing
I guess
next.
I better see it before then.
So we're off next week. We'll be back after the 4th of July holiday here in the States. So July 6th. And we'll talk about Independence Day Resurgence. So we'll catch you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. Go to screen-heroes.com and leave us a review.
Everybody want to do the Kermit?